Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Three Teams in a Pod FPL podcast. My name is Chad, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Jonas and Jaydin. How are you guys doing?
No, we're doing good. How are you guys doing? Can't complain.
I'm doing good, man. International break is finally over. GW9's on the horizon. And yeah, man, I'm on a wild card. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, gents.
Yeah, same this side. I'm doing quite well as well. Happy to finally be here. So, for those of you guys who are listening who don't know, as I said before, we are three teams in a pod. We are a FPL podcast with three South African managers. This project has been in the works for quite a bit of time, and we're finally happy to sort of get things rolling. So maybe I'll start off by giving a bit of an introduction about myself, and then I'll hand over to you guys. So as I said before, my name is Chad. On Twitter, I go by FPL Coyote. Um, this is my eighth season playing FPL. Really big United fan, very passionate about FPL, and it's finally nice to have a platform where I can share my thoughts with like-minded managers. Jonas, do you maybe want to give us a bit of an introduction of yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. As Chad mentioned, my name is Jonas. This is my fifth season playing FPL. Very big Spurs supporter and avid FPL manager. Looking forward to this new challenge and journey with two very renowned managers, in my opinion, as you can see on their latest ranks. So can't wait to get started and just absorb everything that happens in the pod. I'm sure you guys will enjoy it as much as I do.
Yeah, man. And I'm Jaydin. I go by FPL underscore Jaydin. This is my eighth season playing FPL as well. Also a very passionate and passionate player of FPL. I love the game. And yeah, big United supporter. And yeah, I'm finally looking forward to podding with you guys. It's been coming. I messaged Chad like a year ago asking if you can be on a pod. And yeah, today's the day we finally get to, make the things happen. So I'm looking forward to it, guys.
Yeah, no, really exciting stuff. So just a bit about how we're going to run the pod. It's going to be a very casual discussion, very chill conversation. For this pod, we'll be particularly focusing on our team reviews firstly. So both myself and Jonas were on wildcard in Game Week 8, just going to have a look at how our wildcards performed, any regrets we might have about our wildcards, and just where the state of our team currently. We'll also be having a look at what happened over the international break, looking at performances by players, key FPL assets, as well as important injury news, which might affect our thinking for Game Week 9 and going forward. We also have a special segment on Brighton's new manager, Roberto De Zerbi, and having a look at his tactics, how he sets his team up, and what effect that might have on Brighton's FPL assets, who were quite popular in the first few game weeks of the season. And then we'll just be having a look at the forthcoming game week 9. Jaydin, as he mentioned, is on wildcard, so he'll be giving us his thoughts on his wildcard, important player selections that he might have in mind, any dilemmas that he might have in which he's seeking his opinion, our opinions on. And then we'll also be covering the fixtures as well as closing off the pod by looking at key captaincy choices for game week 9. So I think we'll start off with Jonas with your team. So in game week 8, you scored 72 points. How are you feeling about your team of game week 8?
Yeah, I must say I was very happy with the score. Big gamble to go with Kane, knowing that Haaland was so highly captained. As you can see, it obviously paid off. Kane returning with a 20-pointer, which I think contributed to a big green arrow for me this week. Uh, I think the main thing about my wild card was that I was not just, as most managers, not just playing for one game week, but looking forward to the next 3 or 4 game weeks. So I did have Zaha and Reece James on the bench, and it pretty much worked out perfectly. All the players on the pitch scored higher than my one bench option. And as you can see, the star player there that's currently injured at the back, Kabina, returning me with a solid 7 points, returning the faith. So I got my 7 points, and he probably won't be part of my team for the rest of the season. We'll see how that goes. But I think the one thing that gave me the good game week was, if you look at I only had three defenders, and my three defenders returned 21 points. I think that's the big thing that pretty much separated me and gave me quite a good game week rank, I think, compared to other managers. Further, very happy to have Madison in my team. Brought Madison in for the first time. Both returned. Um, Unfortunately, Mitro didn't do too great, but he's had a real good season thus far. Been doing well for Serbia as well, so can't complain. There's no real fires to put out. The only player that really is concerning at the moment is Dinya, but he's going to be a third bench option for me anyway, so it's not really affecting my starting 11. Other than that, pretty good. I'm happy. Got a good green arrow. Looking forward to the weekend's games.
That's the thing with Tigner. Hey, it's a give and a take with him. You can't just get 7 points and then he'll be back. He'll always make a plan to mess up your team for the coming game weeks.
Yeah, I think I'm just happy that I got the 7 points before that injury, because I think pretty much, let's say, didn't get injured, he probably would have scored 1, 2, -1 in the next three games. But other than that, he played. I actually watched the Villa game. He actually did quite well. He got the one bonus point. He missed out on the three bonus points by, like, I think 3 or 4 points in total on the bonus point system. So he had a pretty good game. And as I said, he's going to the bench. Probably make a plan to transfer him out in the coming weeks to free up some funds to strengthen elsewhere.
Cool. Yeah, I think Dinya is the ultimate FPL throw. I think there was a good part of 2 minutes that I had him in my wildcard draft before I realized that no, I've been burnt on way too many occasions with him. So yeah, I just didn't have him in my team as well. But like you said, happy that you got to the 7 points, and he's obviously a problem for you to deal with now. Jaydin, we can have a look at your team as well. So in this game week, you scored 64 points. You, unlike myself and Jonas, were not on the wild card. So maybe you can start off by just giving us your thoughts as to why you didn't wild card, just briefly, and then just having a look at your team and what transfers you made in that game week.
Yeah, so I scored 64 points. I took a -4. So so net 60 points. My transfers were Kukurea out for Trippier. I took out Salah for Foden, and then I took out I took out Ivan Toney for Harry Kane. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that, because one of my options was either to take out Salah straight for KDB, but then I don't know. I felt like Kane was going to do well, and then I just took, instead, went for the -4 and then got in Foden and Kane, which ended up being like a net. I think net 2 greater than the initial transfer plan. But yeah, the reason why I didn't wildcard is because I think my mind was so set on game week 9. But even besides that, I still felt like I could field a decent starting 11, and I could still take a punt like I always wanted to. I wanted to take a punt on my game week 8 team before I wildcarded. So that gave me a chance to just take Kane, because I knew I wouldn't have Kane in my game week 9 team. So then I was like, okay, now I was thinking of Son, but then we had the news beforehand of Paul O'Keefe saying that Son might be benched. So I didn't go Son, and obviously what happened, he scores a hat-trick, scores 19 points. Just way to punish me. But other than that, yeah, I'm wildcarding this week. I wasn't. The reason why I also didn't wildcard in game 8 was because, given the international break, I want to wildcard in the international break so I can, instead of like be very proactive and react to certain injuries and stuff. So yeah, that's the reason I'm wildcarded in 9 instead of 8.
Okay, cool. Sounds like you were pretty set on not activating the button in game week 8. In my own team, I was very much against wildcarding in game week 8 in the beginning of the game week. And then obviously more fixtures started disappearing from the game week, and then I didn't really like the look of my team. My initial plan for game week 8 was to take out Salah and take out Jesus and bring in Isak and Son. But then I watched the Spurs game with Jonas, and Son really looked off it. And then after that, I didn't see really any benefit in delaying the wildcard, which is why I pressed the button. I think it was on the Wednesday before the deadline, and after which I wasn't going to have Son in my team on the wildcard anyway. So pretty satisfied with my score of 65 points. I think the only really punts compared to most different or other managers was having Perisic in my team. Massive fan of Perisic. If you look at his underlying stats, is quite up there amongst defenders. So that was sort of my punt for this game week. But I'm pretty much happy with my score, and I'm looking forward to. Obviously, like Jonas said, this isn't a team for 1 week only, but it's up until game week 16, which is the game week before the World Cup. So yeah, pretty much happy with my team and looking forward to see what the team does in game week 9. So as you guys may well be
Sorry,
aware,
quickly. On the Perisic thing, I didn't even know he got an assist. So I saw that he got 2 points.
yeah,
And I just thought he got two appearance points, but I actually saw he got an assist, and then he got a
yeah.
yellow carded, and then he got it was a whole thing that happened. I don't know what happened, but the whole thing happened for him to get 2 points.
So I mean, journalists can add here, or he can correct me if I'm wrong, but he got an assist, but then he lost points for conceding goals, and then he got a yellow card, but he wasn't even on the pitch when he got a yellow card. I'm not exactly sure if it
Oh
was
yes,
like
I saw the video. Yes.
some sort of celebrations or what the reason was for the yellow card. Jonas, what was that reason for him getting the yellow?
So, like Son scored his goal that we've been waiting for such a long time. And like Conte and Perisic just embraced each other, jumped on each other, celebrating. And after that, Perisic decided to run from the dugout all the way to the like edge of the box to celebrate with the team. So yeah, he got his yellow card there. Um, he he also got like -1 for 2 goals conceded. And I'm not sure if he made the 60. I'm not exactly sure if he made the 60, if he was sub prior to the 60-minute mark. I'm not
I don't
exactly
think he
sure on
did.
that.
Yeah,
Because
No.
if you add 5 points, so let's say the two, or let's say one appearance point and the three, one appearance point and the three for the assist, minus the one for the yellow card will be on three, and then minus the 2 goals or minus the goals. Um, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure, but it's very unlikely. It's one of those FPL things that just happens. Like, how can you get 2 points whilst getting an attacking
getting
return?
an
But
assist. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, it's
he was subbed off on the 54th minute. I mean, 45th minute, which is why he didn't get the additional appearance point and hence the 2 points.
yeah, that's pretty much it. But I still think Perisic is a player to watch at. Like, I do rate him a lot. I think he's one of the best corner takers in the league from both sides. If you watch Spurs games regularly, you'll know that Son is not the greatest corner taker. Um, so I'd like to actually see Perisic and Son on the pitch together, with Perisic actually just taking the
Corners.
corners, because I
Mm.
think his delivery from both sides is second to none at the moment.
Yeah,
It's right up there with KDB, Ward-Prowse, Madison in terms of corner deliveries, in my opinion. I still think he's a good FPL asset. I'm definitely targeting him moving forward after the World Cup, because Spurs actually have a tough run of fixtures in the first 16 game weeks. Like, obviously there's a few easy games, but after that, from game week 16 onwards, Spurs have a good run of 5 or 6 fixtures where I think he could return massively.
yeah. No, same. I think like there wasn't another premium defender that really stood out for me, and I mean, Perisic has been ticking along quite nicely, which is why I went for him. Obviously, Spurs fixtures is a bit iffy between now and game week 16, but I'm happy to just keep him in my team, and see him tick along week in week out. So, as you guys will be aware, we just had the international break now. There was quite a few key happenings in the international break. So, we basically just compiled a few goals and assists from key FPL assets over the international break, as you can see on the screen. And for those listening on the audio just to highlight a few players. So Mitrovic scored 4 goals. So he scored a hat trick in his first game, and then he scored 1 goal last night. After his first game, there was a bit of doubt about whether he was fit or whether he picked up a bit of a Nico. There were some quotes going around on Twitter. We basically did interviews with the local media, and it sounded like there was a bit of a 50-50 call as to whether he'd be fit for the Norway game. But as you can see from last night, he played that game, he started that game, and he scored a goal. Also, a key player that's on everyone's minds at the moment is Salah. It's probably a mass exodus in game week 8, but a lot of people are looking at him in game week 9 as they play Brighton, especially as a captaincy option. So in the international break, he scored 2 goals, and he was rested for Egypt's second game. So he had an early return to training at Liverpool, well rested, and should be ready to fire against Brighton. Um, yeah, continuing from his game week 9 scoring was Son. So after his game week 9 hat trick, he scored 1 goal in each of South Korea's games over the international break. So as we know about Son, and maybe Jonas can also speak to a bit further about this, he's quite a streaky player. So when the iron strikes hard with Son, um, sometimes he just doesn't stop scoring. So if you are looking to bring him in, I guess now is sort of the time. As I said before, fixtures might be a bit tricky, but Son is the type of player that can outplay any fixture. He's just that good, has elite finishing, and should certainly bring some points into your FPL team. And then other key players that scored over the international break: Haaland with 1, KDB with 1, and then Kane with 1 goal as well. And then for on the assist side of things, KDB getting an assist as well. These James an assist for England, Saka an assist for England, and then Perisic also getting an assist for Croatia. There was also some doubt with respect to Perisic in his first international game. He also came off injured, sparked quite a bit of fear amongst Perisic owners as to whether he'd be fit for game week 9. But he started their second uh, game, and he got an assist as well.
Oh,
Guys,
so he's actually
any
fit.
yeah, he's fit. He played. He
Oh, I
played
didn't. I forgot
on
about that.
Monday
Yeah.
night,
Oh, okay,
and
cool.
he got an assist, so he's fit. Guys, anything you'd like to cover about players scoring in the international break?
You just missed Richarlison 3 goals there, but
Yeah.
we'll let it slide. No, I must say, as a Spurs fan, it's good to see the guys returning, scoring. To see Son with 2, Richarlison with 3, Kane with 1, and even Kulusevski and Perisic with assists. It's a good thing for us leading into the North London derby. We'll cover a bit later on the North London derby later when we go through the fixtures, but yeah, I think the players that return, we expect to return. You can see clearly there's a few, two big teams or three big teams standing out in Liverpool, Spurs, and Man City when it comes to attacking returns in terms of goals. And also, just one thing, I think the Chelsea assets did quite well as well. Havertz scored 2, James did well, Mount scored. So one to keep an eye on definitely under Potter now, since they actually did well for the international teams and they don't play for like just any team. So just think something to look at as well, maybe a bit later during the show.
Yeah,
And they have
no,
a good
I
couple
was
of fixtures coming up as well. Chelsea now, so yeah, I think that is one to keep an eye on. Definitely considering for my wild card. So yeah, I'm looking at a couple of Chelsea assets, but yeah, we'll see. We'll keep the surprise for later.
Yeah, I was quite happy with Richarlison's performance as a Brazil fan. I think just a side note, the team is looking quite well before the World Cup. But I
Yes.
really didn't go into him too much, as he's not really much of an FPL asset due to him being classified as a forward, and then also being quite rotation prone in that Spurs team. But yeah, good performance from the Spurs boys, like Jonas said. Certainly should be good for the team ahead of the game against Arsenal this weekend. Um, Also, coming along with the international break, we often have players trying to play for spots in World Cup teams, players trying to play for national pride, and along with that comes injuries. So we've just highlighted 4 players that picked up injuries over the international break. So I think the first one And this wasn't even as a result of playing. Was early in the international break, we heard of an injury to Isak, who obviously plays for Sweden. And I think it's now been sort of confirmed slash rumors going around that he's out for 6 weeks. If I'm not mistaken, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, he's out for 6 weeks.
No.
So that should be kind of an important thing in your mind, especially if you had him in on your Game Week 8 wildcard. I know a lot of people were sort of debating between him and Mitrovic for the Game Week 8 wildcard. So if you did go for Isak over Mitro, yeah, certainly a player that you should be looked to getting out in Game Week 9, as he does take up a key spot in your team, unless you obviously have a good bench option. But because he's out for 6 weeks, it does sort of make sense to taking him out sooner rather than later. Um, Another key asset
Sorry,
that,
Chad. Just I
yeah,
don't even want to speak about it now, but if you want to speak about maybe potential replacements for Isaac, you want to first cover all injuries and then think about replacements. Then you want to think about maybe potential targets for Isaac owners now, given that he's out for up to 6 weeks.
yeah, no, I think we can cover that now. I mean, Jonas, do you maybe want to have a take on any key replacements for Isaac?
Okay, I think like if you're going like for like, there's pretty much two. Well, everyone will probably have Haaland, so leaving you two slots open for your forwards because I think that's the preferred formation at the moment is playing three up top. It just makes sense seeing the value in the current players. There's two names that comes up to me that I straight away think of. The most like for like replacement, in my opinion, will be Tony. If I was in a situation to swap out Isak, I'd definitely go with Ivan Tony. He was actually someone I did consider in my wild card as well. If you don't have Mitrovic, it's an easy downgrade. I think there's a zero point 0.2 difference in price. And then, as you guys have probably heard and seen in the last few weeks, that a certain Mr. Solanke has become
Mr.
very popular.
Dominic.
Yeah, so that's obviously a good option, and I think a lot of people laugh at the Solanke option, but I think it's someone that will save you 1.3 million on Isak or 1.4 million, so it will allow you to strengthen elsewhere. And he's on his guaranteed minutes. He's got the best fixtures leading into the World Cup. He's on penalties, so I think if you do go for him and you get one return, or let's say two attacking returns every 4 games, I think you'll be happy. That's the way I look at it. And then obviously you can, if you do want to change formation or strengthen elsewhere, you can take him in and replace him with a 4.4 forward. But I think the value is in the forwards at the moment, so I wouldn't go there. I don't know about you, Jaden.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. I think the if you don't have Mitrovic, I think you definitely should want to be a replacement for Isaac. But I think the forward lines are now Mitrovic, Haaland, and someone else. So if you don't have Mitrovic, get him for Isaac. And second, I would say if you have money for Tony, I think Tony is a very good option. I think Brentford are in the top five or top six in terms of XG for the year. So I think Brentford is a very attacking team, and Tony's center of everything: free kicks, penalties, goal kicks, everything. He's literally taking anything. So I feel like he's a good replacement for Isaac if you can afford him. Fixtures looks okay. I think he's playing Bournemouth away, Newcastle away, and then Brighton at home, and then I think it's Chelsea maybe. Yeah. So, I mean, fixtures doesn't look great, but I think Bournemouth are a very attacking team, and I mean, not Bournemouth, sorry, Brentford are very attacking a team, and if they score 2 goals, most likely Tony's going to be involved. So yeah, for me personally, he's my favorite replacement for Isaac. If you want to go down, I think I'm not a big fan of the Solanke shout. I'm not going to lie. I see it all over Twitter now, and I think he seems like the pick. But yeah, I think Bournemouth just looks they look horrible, man. They don't look bad. They just I don't that doesn't spark me with any excitement owning Solanke. I get the fact that he has minutes and penalties and everything, but I mean they're like bottom for XG. They are literally like one of the probably they are the worst attacking team in the league at the moment, not creating any chances. fixtures look good, but I think even besides that, I think there's so much happening with Bournemouth now. I mean, they sacked Parker how many game weeks ago, and still don't have a manager. So you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean,
There's
I
talks
think
about them still having ownership issues. So only then once that they get new owners in, then only then will they start looking for managers and stuff. So I think there's a lot of too much happening at the club for me. Yeah, I wouldn't be one to go for Solanke at the moment. But if you are feeling risk, if you are feeling for a bit of a risk, I do think Solanke is an okay option. But I also think a like for replacement for Isaac, I see go for Wilson if you're feeling
you
frisky.
do you expect him to start in the next game week?
Who's this now,
Callum
Wilson?
Wilson. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I think
think
so.
I saw one of the Newcastle journalists. He posted today saying that Wilson and Bruno
Yeah.
G, they are fit for this game week, and I think
Saint Maximum as
Maitland, not
well.
Maitland, I'll say maximum. Yeah, he might make the
Yeah.
bench. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
he's looking for him as fit. But the only problem is will obviously be a minutes issue because you know him, very gets injured very easily. So they said they are looking to wrap him up in cotton wool. So I think yeah, but I think it's still a good option, man. You know, Wilson very integral to the Newcastle team. So I mean, I wouldn't mind it, but I still prefer Tony though.
Yeah, and they're both the same price. Wilson is 7.2 and Tony is 7.2 as well. So I also would prefer Tony over Wilson as well. Wilson always, you don't know with his hamstrings, things are going off. He's quite a fragile player. And obviously, they also have Chris Wood sort of lurking in the background. If they don't want to play Wilson 90
Yeah, I forgot
minutes, game
about
in,
him.
game out, there is an option off the bench. I think he's injured as well, but he should be coming back to fitness soon as well. So just to keep an eye out on him. And on the Solanke thing, personally, I think he's the next Leon Bailey. FPL
I
trap,
agree. I agree.
like
And the
all over
next Luka
Twitter.
Dean.
Big trap. Literally the worst attack in the league. As you said, ownership issues at the club. Just sacked their manager 2 game weeks ago after not a too bad start to the season. So it seems to be some underlying issues happening at that club, which might filter down into the dressing room. So yeah, I feel a
Yeah.
bit iffy about the Solanke pick. Um, yeah, next player that also was injured when he was drafted into the France squad was Luca Digne. I think he is out for 4 weeks, right? I think they said his injury wasn't as bad as they first suspected it to be, but he's out for 4 weeks as well. Jonas, I know you have him in your team. What are your thoughts about him? Are you looking to get him out, and who would you suggest to replace him with?
Yeah, as I chatted to you earlier this week, I was considering taking him out this week just to free up funds. But I had a deep look at what my plans are for the next game weeks. I won't reveal it now, but yeah, I'm pretty much. I can tell you now. He won't be in my team come the next game week, come game week 10. So I'm going to replace him if everything goes according to plan. I've got a few guys I'm currently looking at. Palace defender is the one option, and the other option is a Brighton defender. So pretty much in the 4.3, 4.2, 4.4 million bracket. That's pretty much what my plan is. And that's just to facilitate a move elsewhere. So it's to free up that zero point 0.3 million, and that will allow me to own a player that I might want in the future that I wouldn't have. Because Luka Digne I do have Bailey on my bench as well as Nico Williams. So I don't have any problems putting in third on my bench currently for the week. I'm pretty sure all my players in my team will start as well. And then if it happens that I need a bench player, he won't be needed, I believe. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It was a nice one week game for him, but that's pretty much it for him and myself. FPL 2022-2023.
Yeah, I think
So
you'd
with
you'd
us,
see take your 7 points
yeah,
in the run, eh?
Yeah, that's it. Not
agree,
gonna
agree.
complain. I think that was my favorite clean sheet I've had this season was that one. I was sitting here looking at the TV thinking, please don't drop me, please don't concede at the end. Um, So yeah, I was very happy with it. I think a lot of other people went for Newcastle options, went for West Ham options. So I think I got a W on my side with Dinya, but now it's time for him to move back to where he belongs, and that's not in my team. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Jonas, so on that injury, without giving too much away with transfer plans, like what would you rate? Give me like your maybe your top four, top five replacements, maybe your top three replacements for a player like for owners that have Luka Ding in their teams.
I think if you're going for like, um, it's a bit different because I'm not looking at that bracket. I'm definitely looking to downgrade him as he that player will. The player I'm looking to get in is to basically come into play in game week 12. So
Okay.
Mark Gay from Crystal Palace is the one I've got
Yeah.
in mind, as well as a Webster of Brighton is another player I'm looking at. So that's the two main options I'm looking at currently that I feel have
Yeah.
good fixtures in game week 12. I'm not sure about Brighton's fixtures in game week 12. You guys can correct me, but I know Palace have a pretty decent fixture. So it's pretty
Yeah,
much just
so Brighton plays
Yeah.
Forest and Palace plays Wolves in game week 12.
Uh,
yeah, so it's probably going to be a Wolves of a Palace defender. So it's Anderson or Margay. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Or it's
yeah.
going to be a Brighton defender in probably Lewis Dunk, Istupinan, or Webster. That's pretty much it. I
Okay.
don't think yeah, they're going to play one game week and sit on the bench for the rest. That's the plan,
Yeah.
and I'll use that money elsewhere.
I think if I can maybe throw a name to that, as you can see, John Stones is injured. Also expected to be out for a few weeks. So if you do have the funds, you can maybe upgrade to Manuel Akanji of Man City,
Interesting.
5.0
Good
defender.
shot.
So the only issue that is obviously City don't have the nicest of fixtures going forward. And they're also blanking game week 12, so maybe not the best options. But if you do believe in the
Yeah.
City defense, and you are looking for a solid player that will sort of tick in, get a
Yeah.
clean sheet at one in every 2 weeks, I think Akanji is certainly an option for your team. Jaydin, do you have any other options that we didn't discuss yet?
So for me personally, like I like the I also consider going down to someone like a Gay. I think um I like the look of the West Ham fixtures. They're looking good. I know they don't have a good fixture in game 12, but I do think around those they have a couple of good fixtures. So maybe someone like Zuma, good aerial threat, could get you a goal. And then maybe Sufal. I'm not sure so sure. I was actually looking at Sufal for one of my drafts, but I think Ben Johnson is back. So there might just just a random rotation. I wouldn't be surprised. But I feel like if you want someone that nailed, I think yeah, Zuma's a good shot for 4.5. I like Gay. I think I would prefer him as well. And then on the City defense, Akanji is a good shot, but I don't really mind the Akanji shot, but I do think that there are a lot of central defenders at the moment. Besides the fact that Johnstone is injured, I think Laporte is still back now after the international break. So I think Ake is fit as well. So I think there might be a lot of rotation there. But I mean, if he's looking good though, but I wouldn't really go for City defender at the moment. Also because it blocks a City spot if you want to go for someone in game 13. So yeah, I think my top three would be someone like Kai and then Kai Zuma. And then I also like the Arsenal defense. I think someone like Saliba, I think he's 4.9 at the moment. Good goal threat, Arsenal. Didn't have great fixtures at the beginning, but we don't need to play him at the moment. He rotates well with Newcastle defenders, and then they have a good fixture out from getting 13. Yeah, so I like Saliba as well. And like you said, Jonas, you have Bailey. So I mean, I think he rotates well with Villa as well. So if you want to play Bailey for now, and then get Saliba, I think it would be. I like that shot as well.
Yeah, no, those are great options. Thanks, Jaden. And then lastly, the last quite a decent ownership player to get injured was Nathan Patterson. I think he came in clutch for a lot of game week 8 managers who didn't wildcard. Quite good, solid 6 points. Unfortunately, he also has a bit of a serious injury as well. Also out for 6 weeks. So yeah, he was probably, if you were on a wild card game week 9, or he was probably the standout 4.0 option. Even though Nico Williams does have quite good attacking stats, quite high number of shots and chances created. I think the Everton defense is looking a bit better this season compared to the end of last season. So definitely was a good 4.0 option, but obviously is no longer an option because he's now injured and out for 6 weeks. Guys, anything to add on that?
No, I
Not
think you
really.
pretty much covered everything
Mm.
on the main injuries that's affecting us. Obviously, Micho had the scare, but we know he's fine now, so
Mm.
it's not
Yeah.
not a real worry unless we hear something in the next few days. But I think he should be fine.
Yeah, obviously, guys,
Also,
keep a key eye out for any injury news that might come out in the next 2 days. So obviously, uh, on Thursday and Friday we'll be having press conferences by the managers. So just keep an eye out on Twitter for any key injury news to players. And obviously, before deadline, just check the FPL website as well to see if any players have flags, and then just check on Twitter to see what the nature of the injury is, and just make a decision on that. Yeah, Jaded, you were saying?
I just wanted to add on the John Stones replacement. I think similarly to Luka Ding, exact same replacements. If you're
Yeah.
looking to downgrade or go up, or to go to someone like Saliba, I think same targets. So nothing more to add there.
All right, cool, perfect. Sure. Thanks, guys. So moving on to our next segment. So our next segment will focus on
Ooh.
Brighton's new manager, Roberto De Zerbi. So yeah, if you were perhaps under a rock over the past 3 weeks, Graham Potter did move to Chelsea. Chelsea fired Tuchel and got in Potter as his replacement, and they replaced Potter with Roberto De Zerbi. So just for very brief overview, previously managed Shakhtar Donetsk, who is a Ukrainian team, and as a result of the Russian-Ukraine conflict, was relieved from his duties. And before that, he was a manager at the Italian club Sassuolo. But just basically to cover this discussion, I'll be handing over to Jaydin, who has done quite a bit of research,
I think
and
geeked.
he'll be covering the segment and analysis for us. So Jaden, over to you.
Yeah, man. So I was checking out this new Brighton manager, Roberto De Zerbi or De Serbi. I might put you the name. I'm not Italian. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but yeah, Italian manager, Roberto. I'll just call him Roberto. Let's just do not cause offense to anyone. I'll just call him Roberto. Yeah. So Italian manager, as you said, managed Shakhtar. He's now at Brighton. Managed I think 3 Italian clubs before that, before Shakhtar, and I think most of his good work came at Sassuolo in the 2021-22 season. Oh yeah,
And
2 seasons ago, the 2021
2021.
season. Yeah,
Yeah.
when he finished eighth with Sassuolo, so most of his good work came there. So I was just checking up, on a couple of his tactics and how he sets up and how he might potentially see Brighton set up. So his favorite formation is like a 4-2-3-1. So as you see on the left slide for those that's on video, they have the 4-2-3-1 with Stupinan, Webster, Duncan, and Lamptey at the back. So yeah, he plays like a kind of a, how can I say, a 3-4-3 slash 4-2-3-1 kind of formation. So it's very like hybrid. So you might even see him play 3-4-3, but his favorite formation is 4-2-3-1. But yeah, I was looking at his tactics and how he tends to build up. So yeah, like when I have the ball initially, then we start from the goalkeeper, and it's very like kind of a slow build up play. Lots of passes. They like playing in between the goalkeepers and the centre backs, so it's very like a position based kind of football. So similar to the Graham Potter type. So yeah, they play a lot in the back line, and then what they do is they come very deep, and then the two centre defensive midfielders, so which on the screen is McAllister and Casado. They come deep as well to kind of support the back line in case of for any press or anything. And so what they like to do, they actually like inviting opposition press. So they hold the ball forward until the opposition presses, and they try and play through that. So that's why McAllister and Casado comes quite deep. So yeah, it's very intricate. Goalkeeper needs to be is very integral. So he needs to be a good passer of the ball, which I think Sanchez is quite a good passer of the ball, as we saw
Yeah.
under Potter. So yeah, I think it kind of suit his system given how Potter played with him at Brighton. So yeah, on that, let me just see what else I wrote here.
So just a
Yeah, so
quick question there. The role of the fullbacks. I see you suggested that Lamptey will start at right back. I know previously Veltman for most of the season has played in that role. So is there a reason why you think that De Zerbi or Roberto will prefer Lamptey over Veltman?
this was like a very rough draft, so it definitely could be either way. It could
Okay.
be Lamptey, it could be Valtman, but
Veltman.
like I was saying, yeah, like Valtman. So they also like playing very narrow sometimes, where the wingers they're the ones that keep the width. So it's
Yeah.
very like central. So most of the fullback sometimes will come inside, and then they'll be really like congested in the middle, where the wingers will stay wide, and then the 10 will normally just stay up top. He won't like come deep for anything. He won't come deep to receive ball. You mainly just stay there and like almost be up against the defenders or the centre backs. So yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely could be Valtman. I think Valtman is a better suited for that role in the sense where they come into the midfield, because I mean he's a better passer of the ball than
Yeah.
Lamptey is. But it's like I said, it's very like hybrid. So they sometimes the fullbacks does go wide where they do come inside the wingers and then just support the wingers in that sense. But like you see on the right hand side, what they also tend to do is one of the midfielders, so like one of the defensive midfielders in possession, I see in the right hand side Casado, he drops back into a back three, and that wing back that's on that side, that wing back will tend to push on, which is Lamptey on that side,
Side. Yeah.
and then the left wing back, or let's say opposing fullback, will come into midfield to just kind of support that to keep that midfield balance. So like I said, it's very like a Potter like kind of tactic. It's very slow position based football. But then in attack they seem very well organized. Yeah, like I said, the winger is the one that keeps the width, and the central attacking mid and the and the striker, they're the ones that seem to be getting the most goal involvement. They're the ones that are also always in the box, and they're always pressing, and yeah. So I like the look of that. So it's a missing gloss of water quickly.
Just to fill in there, I think I read somewhere that the number 10 tends to play quite close to the striker, quite a bit
Yes,
of
yeah,
intricate
yeah.
play between the striker,
Mm.
the 10, and the two wide players. And I also heard that the wide players tend not to put in a lot of crosses. It's a lot of quick passing rather than putting in crosses from out wide. Is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
correct?
Yes, you're correct. Yeah, they're not much like they're not much for crossing into the box. They very like play within wingers and play to the cam and try and play within the box. So yeah, and it makes sense that they don't have much height in that team, given that very small players, and
Yes,
I don't think
yeah.
it would make sense for them to get a manager also that would just cross the ball, whatever. So yeah, so I was looking at that, and then I was also thinking, okay, now how does this kind of translate to FPL? So
Yeah.
then I started looking at like his stats as a manager for the past couple of seasons. So obviously, like we said in 21-22 season, he played for he was manager of Shakhtar. So yeah, that league, the league was kind of disrupted. So I couldn't really get much information based on that.
Yeah.
But I was looking at the kind of the Champions League groups where he was in the Champions League with Real, Inter, and that Sheriff Tiraspol or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so of the 6 games, he won 0, lost 4, and drew 2 against Sheriff. Again, yeah, through the other 2 games against Sheriff. So they had a XG in that group of 6.9 in total. That was third behind Real Madrid and Inter, and they had an XGC of 10.7 within 6 games. And that was the second highest. Obviously, I think Sheriff had a higher
HG.
with the goals conceded than Shakhtar. So yeah, so I was looking. Okay, didn't tell me much information because I haven't really watched them. But then I was just thinking like how does this thing relate? Like how do they play against big teams? Because I mean they're coming up against Liverpool, coming up against a very well-oiled team, a team that presses. So I was looking at the games against Inter and Madrid in that group. So in both games, the average they conceded an XGC of 2.2 per game, which is quite high. So,
Yeah,
but
especially for
from what I
if the,
think of it, yeah, you can add what you want to say.
no, I said it will be quite a contrast to what we used to for Brighton. We seem to be quite a
Yes, exactly.
defensively solid team. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, like the 2.2 XG per game, and what that tells me is that they definitely like they love attacking, but they also can get could give away a lot of chances. So, I mean, you're giving chances to a team like Liverpool, the chances of Trent and Salah conceding or punishing you is quite high. So that's why I'm liking the look of the Liverpool assets against this team. Given that against big teams, they seem to give a lot of chances. And yeah, that's why currently I have two Liverpool players in my team. Yeah. So then I went even deeper and then I looked at how Sassuolo performed as like because I think they finished around 8 in the 2021 season. So I was looking at how they played as a team and how much charges they conceded against the big teams in that league. So in that year, the top four teams for Serie A was Inter and then AC Milan, Atalanta, and Juventus. And I was looking at the XGC for those teams they were playing against, and the average also about 2 goals expected goals conceded per game against those big teams. So it seems like it showed me that they don't really change the philosophy in big games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They stick to the way they play, and they still concede a ton of chances. But they also average about 1.5 xG per game. It also shows that also can be very attacking, regardless of who they're playing. So that just shows me that they could be a very entertaining team to watch. And yeah, that's about it that I have on Brighton. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's about it I have on Brighton.
So how do you think this translates in terms of the FPL assets? Like I know Gross was quite popular, about game week 6, game week 5, had a good start to the season. Obviously under Potter, Trossard has been quite a good player in FPL for quite a few seasons now. He played left wing back. So how do you think the new manager and the new sort of tactical style will affect the FPL assets, particularly the attacking assets?
I think like we said earlier that the cam and the striker they're very involved, and the wingers are the one that they keep the words out. I don't know if they are much involved. They will be, but with Brighton, I just think they are. At the end of the day, I think they'll wait and see. But I do think that if he was to implement um, his tactics on the team like immediately, I do think we should look more at the opposition teams that are playing against them, like teams like Liverpool. I don't know. I think they're playing Spurs as well after this. I do think that because they give up such a big amount of chances, I do think that teams like Spurs and Liverpool would be of interest to us then instead of the Brighton. But I think in terms of Brighton attack is a bit of a watch and see. But I do feel like at the moment they could be a team to target.
Yeah, I know their fixtures look a lot better after the World Cup than before. So
Yeah,
obviously they'll spend quite a bit of time. The manager will spend quite a bit of time drilling his philosophy into the players, getting them up to speed with the tactical style. So certainly one to look out for in the future. But even from my side, I don't think, like you said, it's a waiting see. If I was in Wildcard and
yeah,
Game I don't think there'd be any Brighton players
yeah, definitely.
that I'd have in. Jonas, I know you earlier in the pod you said that you're looking at bringing in a Brighton defender for the Game Week 12 fixture. How does this discussion kind of influence your thinking now?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything that Jaydin has said. I think what I know of the manager and what I know of Brighton is that they are going to be a team that's going to have the ball a lot. The
Mm,
ball will be in the defense a lot. So that just shouts out bonus points to me. We know
yeah,
what gives you the bonus points, especially with defenders. We saw with Cancelo over the weekend against Wolves, where he didn't get an attacking return, but still managed to get all 3 bonus points. So that's pretty much passes completed. Those kind of things all contribute to bonus points. And I think if Brighton managed to sneak out a game 1-0, 2-0, that a few of the defenders might get into the bonus points. As I said, it will be a 1 week only player, and I think it's a good shout, something to look at. However, on the contrast of that, I think Brighton will struggle against teams that counter attack quite well. So I think teams like Spurs, Liverpool, and also Man United, although they've already played against them now, but I think that might be a bit tough for them because like they'll be in possession and the wing backs and the midfielders will be high up the pitch if they do have the ball because they once the ball gets forward, it's almost like two-thirds of the team moves beyond the halfway line, and that will open up a lot of space.
Yeah.
And I do think like you've got two big central defenders in Dunk and Webster. They are not the most versatile. I don't see them catching players like Diaz, Salah, Son, Kulusevski, Richarlison. I can go on. I'm referring now to teams that are quite good in transition and counter attacking. So, but yeah, on the general, I think it's a wait and see. We can't expect exactly the same
Yeah.
output and stats from a different league. Also, from a different team. I think if you had to look at the quality of players in the Brighton team, it's a good balanced squad with quite good Premier League experience as well. It's not guys that just dropped up for their first season of Premier League football. So, but other than that, very like a lot of valid points you made regarding them. The fact that they don't change their playing pattern when it comes to, or that Zerbi does not change his playing pattern when it comes to the big teams, is a bit frightening or worrying if I could speak for Brighton fans. But we also saw that Potter at Brighton always adjusted the formation based on the opponents. So I think that might translate into the new manager in a way as well. So we might not see them set up the same way against Liverpool than they might do against Forest in 3 4 weeks
Yeah.
time. But yeah, that's pretty much it from my side.
Yeah, it's definitely just a wait and see with Brighton. But I do feel like if you want to take the risk, I think now is the time to take a risk against them. So yeah, target players like um, your Liverpool players and your Spurs players, where I feel like they would give up a ton of chances for them to capitalize on.
Yeah, no, from my side as well, definitely a waiting see. Looking forward to seeing what the team does under the new manager. Seems to be quite a bit of excitement with his tactical style. Tactical style should be something quite fresh and interesting to the Premier League as well. So it should be a nice one to watch. Thanks so much for that analysis, Jaydin. I see you put quite a bit of time and effort into it. I wonder if you
Yeah.
put as much time and effort into your wildcard draft, which
Oh,
will
I've been thinking about this Wildcard draft. Oh my word.
which I'll bring up now. So just for the benefit of those that are listening on the audio, so in goal, Jaydin has Ward of Leicester and Gaeta as his keepers. In defense, he has Trent, James, Good, if I'm
A
pronouncing
three
that
point yeah,
correctly.
3.9
3.9
3.9
defender
defender.
from Brentford, as well as Trippier and Gay, who we touched on quite extensively earlier in the pod. In midfield, he has Andreas as a budget enabler, Salah, Madison, Zaha, and a surprise inclusion of Tielemans, which I'd like to hear about. And then in his forward line, he has Tony, Mitrovic, and Haaland. So, Jaden, do you maybe want to walk us through your wildcard? Give us your thoughts and insight into your picks. Maybe starting with your goalkeepers.
Yeah, so with regards to goalkeepers, I think that I feel like Game Week 9 wildcarders in themselves, they don't exactly know where to go to because I feel like when we wildcarded in Game Week 8, it was Pope or no one, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And now I think because the fixtures aren't Newcastle fixtures aren't that great, but it's also not that bad either. But also,
yeah.
you wouldn't want to triple up on their defense like that. That's what the contents are now within the Game Week 9 wildcard is. And I feel like Crystal Palace have a couple of good fixtures coming up. That's why I just went. I can't really stretch to players like Pope and them only given because the thing that separates Game Week 9 wildcarders and Game Week 8 wildcarders are mostly your Liverpool assets. So whereas you guys don't have any Liverpool assets, I would have people like Salah and Trent. So I kind of needed to make sacrifices somewhere, which was actually where I had to go for my goalkeepers. But yeah, I don't mind
Just
quite.
a question on Guaita. I know Palace have been quite leaky this season, especially looking at the underlying data compared to last season. Does that not cause some alarm within your thinking.
Yeah, I did see defensively they're not as great as they were last season, but I was looking at they were speaking on the FPL wire, and they were speaking about, remember how in preseason how the preseason was very scattered, so they only had like half of the
Yeah,
team within preseason,
reason.
and the others had to stay within England. I don't know if it's because of COVID or whatnot. So I don't think they had a proper preseason to throw in. I don't know, to throw in training routines and stuff. So I do think that month off now, more or less, to since they last played. So I'm hoping that I think it's just more fixtures over form really. That I think that White is actually a decent option. And I mean, if there's no other great 4.5 million to keep us to go for, so I think out of the 4.5 million lot, for me personally, seems like the best to go for.
Yeah, you are right in saying that quite a bit of a disrupted preseason. I think they were on tour in Australia, and there were certain players that had issues with COVID entry requirements into the country. But as you pointed out, it's been about a month since they've last played. They didn't
Yeah,
play in game week 8, so they certainly had some time to build some squad cohesion, especially for newer players. I also heard somewhere that Vieira tends to do this thing where he randomly drops the keeper in the season out of nowhere. So are you not scared that happens between now and game week 16?
yeah, definitely. I know randomly could, because I know they have a couple of good keepers on them. I think they have Johnson as a backup, and they still have Butland. I don't know where Butland is, but I mean, definitely that's the one thing that scares me about Guaita. But yeah, man, I'm just gonna go with vibes. I just hope that, I mean, it's a short period, luckily. It's a short period from now until game week 16. So if it does happen where it is bench for game week or two, um, I don't mind just taking him out and then bringing someone else in. And I have a backup
Yes.
keeper in Ward, the horrible Ward. If he keeps his place or not, I'm not sure. But I mean, they have decent fixtures to begin with, so I don't mind him stepping up in case
Can I ask you?
one of
Can I
those
ask
random
you
benches
one?
start.
Sorry, Jade. Can I ask you
Yeah.
one question? Have you considered starting Ward this game week where you'll be facing Forest and Guaita will be facing Chelsea?
Yeah, I probably would start him over quite to this game week, just
Okay.
because I feel like
No,
they'll be more likely to
I think, yeah,
keep
I
a
think
clean sheet.
there's a
Yeah,
bigger chance, even though it's Leicester. I think there's a bigger chance of Leicester keeping a clean sheet against Forest
yeah,
at home. They're playing at home, right?
yeah. They're playing at
Leicester.
home. Yeah,
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 Leicester.
I
Yeah,
think there's a.
Monday.
I just think there's a bigger chance of a clean sheet there, because they can't continue to go on like this. I mean, this is a team that's been in the top of the Premier League for the last 4 or 5 years. It has to click at some
yeah,
moment, even if it's not the entire season. I think there will be a game where I think this is the perfect reset button game for them if there's something like
yeah.
that for this season. Promote a team at home after a drubbing. I think it's a perfect opportunity. But yeah, carry on your wild card. Sorry, I got carried away there with Wood again.
Hmm.
He's gonna let in a goal from Nico Williams coming into the box with the right
I wouldn't be
distribution.
surprised. Probably own goal as well. I really wouldn't be surprised. This guy doesn't surprise me anymore.
Jaden, you wanted to talk us through your defense?
Yeah. So currently I have Trent, James, 3.9 midfielder, Trippier, and Gay. So yeah, my starting defenders are obviously Trent, James, and Trippier. So I think within the Wildcard 9 teams, I think the way I seem different to the rest is the fact that I don't have Cancelo, and a lot of people are kind of questioning because everyone just seems to have him as a set and forget. Where for me, I just personally feel like if you're going to take a risk on not having Cancelo or a City player or City defender, I think now it's time to do it.
Yeah,
Given that they have who they have United this game week, Southampton, and then Liverpool, and then they have a
Liverpool
blank. So
blank.
yeah, yeah. So I just feel like now's the opportunity for me to go for someone like. That's why I went for Tony, because it seems like a lot of people are compromising on Tony and going for Solanke instead with Cancelo. So I just feel like for me now's the opportunity for me to risk it and just go for someone different. Because I do feel like Tony will outscore Cancelo in the next couple of game weeks.
And
And
Just a
then
if
quick,
you also need to, sorry, if you just you've got the funds to switch to Cancelo in one move. So if you don't feel happy with Trent after a game or two, or he picks up an injury, suspension. It's an easy
yes,
move. Where if you have
yeah,
Cancelo, the move to Trent is not, it's not a possibility, because I don't think a
yeah,
lot of people will have a lot in their bank to
yeah.
spend on defenders, especially premium defenders, if I can call it that.
Just
I
a
mean, if
quick
I really
one.
want Cancelo, I can just take out Tony for kind of a third striker, and then just put in instead of Guy.
Just a quick one from me. Did you have Nico Williams in your team, like before you wildcarded?
I think I did, yeah.
So, why did you take him out? Like because you,
Forest,
if you have
yeah, Forest just seem to concede way too many goals. I don't think it's worth it for me.
no, because I see you have 0.1 in the bank, and I'm assuming if you
Uh,
had him in your team, he would have costed you full milk if you had him from the beginning of the season. So you could have had him over good, right?
no, it costed me 4.1 because I sold him and then I brought him back in.
Ah,
I brought
okay,
him in back
okay,
for Bournemouth, yeah. So that's why I couldn't afford him. Yeah.
okay, yeah, okay, makes sense. And what made you go good instead of using the point one and going Emerson from of West Ham, considering the
I th-
fixtures?
for me, I think I don't really need that slot at the moment because I think I have a kind of set three, and then if anything happens, I just have KE to come in. But I think it's just based on future moves where I'm gonna want people like because I don't have Martinelli in my team, I might need funds to get him and Foden potentially in the future, and I think that 0.1 could come in handy in future. So yeah, I don't feel like I
Yeah,
need that
that's it.
slot at the moment.
That 0.1 can be, you can use that to upgrade Madison to a lot
Yeah,
of players.
exactly. I can go from
I
Madison to
agree.
Foden if I wanted to in one move.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's one mistake I made with my wild card. Now looking at it, is that I spent too
Mm.
much on my bench, because I
Yeah,
realized that I would never really use all three bench players, and I might
yeah,
as well just have saved a few bucks on the side, allowing me to make more aggressive moves. Because that's, I see, as I said previously as well, a wild card in my opinion is an aggressive thing. You need
yeah,
to play a wild card aggressive, not just for 1 week, but you need to target certain things. But I agree with, it's going to be your third bench play. It's never going to come into play. Uh,
yeah,
Use that 0.1 elsewhere. If a player increases in price and you need 0.1, or
yeah,
if it happens that Mitro gets an injury or something like that, and you want to upgrade to Isak if he drops, or whatever the case might be, I think that's the correct move.
yeah.
Keeping the
And for,
point one in the
yeah.
bank.
And for me, I personally value like a 0.1 or 0.2 more in the bank than what I do upgrading someone from good to someone like a Nico Williams or some a 4.1 defender because that's my fifth defender. You know what I mean? So the chances of them coming in are very slim, by the way, or not, but they're very slim. And if they were to come in, what they're going to get me 1 or 2 points. They don't, I mean, it's not like the 4.1s are setting the world alight. It's just like they come in, they get 1 or 2 points, and then you never see them again for a couple of game weeks. So I personally just value the 0.1, the flexibility to upgrade other players more than having a starter as a fifth defender.
Okay, cool.
I agree.
Yeah, in hindsight, I agree with your thinking, and I think
Mm,
that 0.1 can be helpful in navigating certain price points as well.
yeah.
Do you wanna move on to your midfield?
Yeah, so I have a midfield four, my starting midfielder of Salah, Madison, Zaha, and Tielemans. So Salah is captain at the moment because, as I explained earlier, I feel like this against Brighton we could all. I feel like there's a kind of a set template of certain midfielders within wildcards, 8 and 9, which is Madison and Zaha. I feel like most wildcarders have them given their fixtures. So I don't need to go into much detail about that
Yeah,
because I think that everyone has them. Um, the other midfield that you're probably thinking is why Tillemans at 6.3. I could just have that 6.3 and what I don't know, go Martinelli or something. Considering I can't get him because I bought him for 6 million. So yeah, I'm assuming that's what you were thinking earlier, Chad. Like why did they
yeah,
get Tillemans? Yeah. So the reason why I got Tillemans is firstly, like I said earlier, with the Cancelo thing, I think also now is opportunity for me to off Martinelli. I think the fixtures are tough. I feel like I can take advantage of different players now and kind of just try and get points and chase points somewhere. And for me there aren't much great 6.3 midfielders, but the reason why I went Tillemans firstly is because the fixtures look good. So I think it's Forest, Bournemouth, Leeds, and someone I'm not sure, but I mean the next four looks good, and then they look good until game week 12, and the game week 13 I'll probably offload him, and I'll get what's his name? I'll get Martinelli back probably. So I just think
Yeah,
that
and
he
he's on penalties as
outscores.
well. I think
Yeah,
he's
that's
on
what I'm
penalties
saying.
as well.
Yeah. The reason why I actually went for Tillemans is because I was looking at his stats and he actually has a higher non-penalty XG or XGI goal involvement than Madison. So I was surprised because I was like, oh, everyone like seems to be picking Madison, but everyone's ignoring Tillemans. But yeah, even though his goal rate isn't as high, he has a very high assist potential. Because it seems like he's one of the only creators within that midfield besides Madison. So yeah, I was surprised that he had a higher non-penalty goal involvement than Madison. And now the fact that Vardy isn't on playing as much, he's also on penalties, so that's also additional, factor to Tielemans, and that's how I also like him. It's a bit of a punt. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it works, I can just move him on for someone else.
I don't like it, but yeah.
Okay,
And
if not
just,
Tielemans, then who?
I mean, personally,
Would
I
you go
mean,
Martin?
I didn't have Martinelli in my game week 8 wild card because I didn't like Arsenal's fixtures, but I think they have a good,
Yeah,
and also had the, we knew at that stage that they were going to blank in game week 12. But I think they have a good game week 11 fixture. I think they play Leeds, and I think
yeah,
in game week 13 they play Southampton. Also, another point
yeah.
on Martinelli and why I am considering bringing him back in, but that'll only be probably game week 13, without trying to plan two ahead, is that he wasn't included in the latest Brazil squad. And I think there's
Oh,
quite a bit of competition amongst Brazil's forwards. So he might be quite fired
yeah,
up in the last few
yeah,
weeks before the World Cup, trying to get a spot in the squad. So that's probably something else that you should consider, or something else that could come into your thinking in having Martinelli. But other than Martinelli, I don't really see another asset really at that price point. Maybe Sinister of Leeds. I know last
yeah,
night he came on from the bench and he scored 2 goals. In the game before that, I think he plays for Colombia, he scored a goal as well, and then he scored 2 goals before that as well for Leeds. So he's really in good form. He's looking
yeah,
really good. And Leeds don't have two bad fixtures, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah,
So he'd probably be, as a punt, someone else that I'd possibly consider. But yeah, like I said, I don't see too much in the Tielemans pick. Um,
yeah,
to be too harsh on you. Like I'd go Martinelli over Tielemans.
yeah,
If it was a straight shootout between the two.
yeah.
But I just have a quick question. Earlier on, I know we spoke about Isak replacements, and we spoke about Leicester. Now, do you think that Daka is an option as a forward?
If he starts, but that's what it comes down to. If he starts, he's a good option, yes. But with Madison, I'm not Madison with Vardy and yeah, Nacho. I think there's just too much rotation now. I don't have a headache every game week whether he starts or not.
Okay, because
I'd
I think
rather
it's, yeah, Jonas.
I'd rather go for Tielemans as an option. As I know it's not,
Yeah,
you can't compare them directly, but I like the Tielemans pick more than Daka because you've got guaranteed minutes, you've got someone involved in the build-up play, and you've got someone on penalties,
yeah,
someone that's been there. Daka is probably like very similar to Iheanacho. I think they might be rotated with Vardy, and they most of the time they're players that they don't last longer than 65, 70 minutes and they get pulled off the pitch, even if they
exactly.
score a brace. So
Yeah,
for me, it's too risky to have a player in your team that's going to rotate, especially in your wild card team.
mm.
Um, but yeah, that's pretty much from my side regarding that.
But just remember,
Sweet.
like I said, Tielemans is only a 4 week punt, and then I'll get Martinelli back in game week 13. So yeah, like I said, the next four fixtures look really good, and I just feel like I don't know. There's something about Tielemans that's calling me. I don't know. I have this gut feeling about him, and I can't explain why. But he's calling my name, and I don't think I'm going to be swayed either way.
Yeah,
In
just
a, in
remember
a,
that Martinelli will cost you 6.6 in 3 weeks. So it's not 6.3
Yeah,
anymore. That's the only
yeah.
thing to keep
but
in mind.
yeah, that's something. But I feel like his price will go down, and I can get it for like 6.5 maybe. if I'm being optimistic.
You're being quite optimistic. If you want to add some other optimism, Tielemans, he didn't start for Belgium, so he should be fresh as well. If you want
Thank
to
you. I didn't know that, so thank you for
justify
that.
your bad choices further.
Might just captain
um,
him now.
um, and then in the forward line, as I said earlier, you have Tony Haaland and Mitrovic. I think that's pretty much template on the game week 9
Yeah,
wildcard. I think the only
straightforward.
difference would be Tony versus Solanke if you want to shift
Yeah,
funds
I don't want
elsewhere.
that guy. I don't want that guy. So
Yeah,
yeah,
but
pretty template. I'm happy with the three of them. As I explained earlier, why I like Tony. When you're speaking under the international break section, but yeah, I'm not. I don't want Solanke. I'm happy with that front three at the moment.
okay, cool. Jonas, anything to add on Jaydin's wildcard?
No, I like it. I feel like um, I was stressing for the Liverpool game. Let me tell you that. I think I feel
You
bad
should.
not having Salah or any Liverpool asset. I think that was always the risk of wildcarding in game week 8 is that you probably won't have a lot of Liverpool players. So I think Jaydin and a lot of other managers could feast there whilst we sit and look. Um, but yeah, that's part of the game. I think it's exciting. It's exciting time of the season now. It's going to be a lot of games, very aggressive, and based on the teams I'm seeing in front of me, it's clearly that we're all planning not just for one game week, and we've got a clear-cut plan going ahead. Yeah, I think we can pretty much move on. See, we're already on over an hour for our first
Yeah,
pod.
I was
It
gonna
feels
say,
so
man.
natural. So we
I
probably
feel like we
should
can
move on
just
to the next segment. Yeah.
Yeah, so our next section, we're just basically gonna have a look at the fixtures, very high level thoughts. We'll start off with Jonas being the Spurs supporter. Big game, probably biggest away game of the season, North London Derby. First game of the game week. What are your thoughts on the game?
Very excited. I've obviously it's one of the biggest games of our season, of all of our games in all competitions. It's obviously the massive rivalry. I'm not going to lie. I'm very nervous. I think Arsenal have been looking quite good this season, and it's usually they start well or they've got these patches of form that's good, and then they just fall off. I don't see that happening. I think they're there to stay until the end, in the top 4, 5, 6, even higher. But excited. Funny enough, like the last few games, the home team has dominated completely. Um, Spurs absolutely dominated Arsenal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Complete dominance 3-0. But earlier in the season, Arsenal completely uh, ripped Spurs apart at the Emirates 3-1. So I don't think it's going to be the same. I don't think it's. I think it's going to be a better quality game where both teams will be involved quite. I don't know how to even say it. I think it's going to be a tough game with quality football, if I can put it that way. Um, I'd be happy with, like, I'm not going to start predicting, but I think what I've seen in the recent weeks that if Spurs continue that, I think we could get a positive result. Let's just leave it out there. And it's a big game for FPL because we've got a lot of well, the majority of players have a lot of assets tied up in this game, like Martinelli. Because remember, Jesus is still on 70% owned.
mm,
Even though we forget that 7 out of 10 managers still has him in their teams, and I can't remember the last time I saw someone with Jesus in their draft or in their team. And now also players like Son, Kulusevski, Kane, um, and the Arsenal defenders coming into play. I think it's an exciting game, early kickoff. Um, so yeah, looking forward.
Yeah, also I picked up on that trend of the home team sort of dominating in the last few fixtures. As a Kane owner myself and the Perisic owner, definitely a key watch. And as you said, as a Jesus and Martinelli a non-owner, quite a bit of ownership there still. So should be a good game to watch as well. I'm looking forward to watching the game more than necessarily my FPL assets being involved. I think for Game Week 8 versus Game Week 9 wildcarders, I think Game Week 9 wildcarders are less reluctant to have a Spurs attacker, unless you're going with Son in midfield. Whereas with Game Week 8 wildcarders would have had either Kane or Son in the team. So there'll also be a bit of a battle there as well for that game. Yeah, also expecting it to be, I think it's either going to be a very nervy no draw. It's going to be quite a high scoring game. But with the form that the teams have been in, I can't see it sort of being a no draw. So hoping for a few goals. Yes,
I have
Jaydin.
like no assets in this team, so I'm just gonna sit down and enjoy the football. I really don't mind. I feel like it's gonna be like a really good game. I think it's gonna be like a high scoring 3-2, 4-3 type of game. So yeah,
Okay.
I'm looking forward to that game. Definitely.
Yeah, I think it's along with this with the Manchester derby. It's certainly the game of the weekend.
Yeah.
Anything to add there, guys, or can we move on to the next one?
Yeah, I
Next,
think we can move.
Do you want to just like go high level and then do captaincy in your teams because we kind of
yeah,
on
yeah.
time? Yeah. What do you guys
So
think?
for the Bournemouth Brentford game, Bournemouth obviously leaky. Did hear that the caretaker manager is a bit more defensive though, so maybe not as leaky as they were a few weeks back. But certainly a good game for Brentford assets, especially for Tony. I think he's probably the only Brentford asset that most managers have, unless you still have someone like the Silva in your team. But I wouldn't bank on a De Silva return. Anything to add there, guys?
No, I won't be
No,
watching
not
that
really.
game.
Just yeah,
um,
tune in for Tony Hattrick.
Yeah,
We'll
I'll
speak again. We'll
definitely.
speak. Yeah.
I'll probably jump between the Palace and Chelsea and Liverpool Brighton game, but there's no way.
Yeah.
I'll just check the. I won't even check this. I don't have any players involved there, and it's not really a game that I really would enjoy or put on to watch. So
yeah,
I'll
not for
keep you
me.
updated, guys. Don't worry. I'll keep you guys updated.
Yeah,
thanks,
hoping
thanks.
for no all there.
Then next game is the Palace Chelsea game. I think myself and Jonas, but and Jaydin as well. All three of us have Zah and James coming up against each other. Got quite a bit of a conflict there. You know, you have the defender hoping for a clean sheet, and you have the attacker hoping for an attacking return. But should be a good game. I think this is Potter's first league game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
in charge of Chelsea. So should be a good watch in terms of his lineup. I think a lot of people have their eyes on like players like Fofana, Pulisic as well, potentially as bargains for late in the season. So should be a good game to watch from that point of view. Anything else to add, guys?
yeah.
No,
Okay,
nothing
Hoping
cool.
really.
for Zara James goal 1-1.
Yeah.
That's
We owe
that's
James. We owe James for
good
the
goal
attacking
prediction.
returns, not the clean sheets.
Yeah,
Yeah. Next game was we're gonna Fulham Newcastle. Key assets to watch out for is Trippier and Pope, I guess. And then obviously would have been Isak, but he's injured now. So if anyone that takes a punt on Wilson, I think this game will be a lot closer than a lot of people expect. Fulham haven't been too leaky defensively this season. They've been doing a lot better than we expected. And Newcastle obviously playing away from home. So I think from my side, I expect Newcastle to sort of edge it. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking for this game.
yeah.
Um,
Once again, defender and a striker. So Mitro against Pope and Trippier. So
Ooh.
don't even know what to hope for there. But I'll get to that dilemma when we chat teams. Because I've got a plan for that.
I
I've
think
got an idea.
you hope for the clean sheet in that instance. Eh?
Yeah, yeah, pretty
unless
much.
unless unless you're gonna bench one of your. I mean, unless you're gonna bench Trippier, which I don't think you will. Then I think the big, the big game, the deciding game is Liverpool Brighton. Obviously, as we said earlier, this the Zerbi's first match. Liverpool being a press monster, be quite interesting to see how Brighton line up, whether the manager has had time to instill these tactics into the team, and how the team performs without Potter, being their first game without Potter. I'm expecting a Liverpool thrashing. I'm expecting a Salah brace or hat trick. So if you do have him in your team, I would suggest captaining him. What are your guys' thoughts on this game?
I think we
I
covered
don't have
enough on it. I
players.
think, yeah.
Um,
I think we covered enough in the Brighton section. I think it's going to be goals in this game. So yeah,
Cool.
yeah, I predict. I think Liverpool are gonna rip them apart. Personally, I think they've had the rest now.
yeah,
They need to get back to their best. They've got
yeah,
key players back in their team. Not going to go too deep into it, but I think it's a comfortable win for Liverpool
yeah. Same.
at Anfield.
Sweet, sweet. And then the last two games on the Saturday, Southampton, Everton, and West Ham and Wolves. These should be lovely games to watch. Sure, everyone's excited for it. I don't have any thoughts to add on these games. I don't think there's many FPL options in either of these four teams at in our current thinking. So unless you guys have anything to add, I'm happy to move on to the next game.
A
Now
lot
we
of
can
people
shift
have
on.
a lot of people have Bowen for West Ham. A lot of game at Wildcard is at Bowen. Yeah, I feel like that's going to be a tight game, but I mean, West Ham aren't looking good attacking wise. So I don't know. I don't think you should expect much from that game. Who's a decent defensive outfit as well. So yeah, it could
Yeah,
be a
Wolves have
tight cage game.
Wolves have been quite good, better this season than they were last season.
Yeah,
I was expecting a game with West Ham
yeah.
struggling to sort of get their
That
tactical
that just looks like a 1-0
Oh,
1-0
wow.
game.
Yeah,
So let's just hope Bowen doesn't score
yeah,
that one goal and gets like
yeah.
max bonus points. I think that's the best thing we can hope for. But
hopefully.
I can't. I'm not expecting any glamorous or any fancy football from that game. I think it's going to be
Yeah.
quite cagey.
I also think that both managers need a result for this. Like both, yeah. I think David Moyes needs a result, and I do think Bruno Lage needs a result as well. So that's going to make it even more cagey because they both seem to be under pressure at the moment.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Then the big game on the Sunday, the Manchester Derby, Ten Hag's first Manchester Derby. City obviously playing at home. Haaland's first Manchester Derby as well. So a lot of firsts for a lot of players and managers. I think Haaland in his interview said he's looking most forward to playing against United. Should be an interesting matchup against Martinez in terms of physicality and height. What are your guys' thoughts on this game? I know I have three City assets. I have Foden, Cancelo, and Haaland. My thoughts are I think it's going to be a lot tighter than people expect. Besides last season where United were horrible, United have actually gotten quite a few results in this fixture over the past few seasons, and this fixture generally
Yeah.
doesn't tend to be, um, quite high scoring. So I do expect City to come out on top, but I'm not expecting a 3 or 4 nil thrashing from City over United. What are you guys' thoughts?
Jonas, you can go.
Okay. I think like if you watch how United played against Liverpool when they were under pressure, it's going to be a similar situation where it's a big derby. It's one of the biggest games in the Premier League season. The players will want to play for the badge and the fans. So I think, as Chad mentioned, I think it's going to be a lot tighter than a lot of people think. For my FPL assets, I've also got three City players: Foden, Cancelo, and Haaland. So I think there's pretty much the opportunity for everything in that game: goals, assists, clean sheets. We'll see how it goes. I'm pretty set on captaining Haaland as well. So yeah, that's. I think it's going to be a good watch as well. Good watch for a neutral fan. I'm looking forward to watching that game on Sunday.
Yeah, I think you guys spoke mostly well about that game. I think the only concern for United fans would be that Rashford might not be fit for the game. So I think he'd be the perfect type of person for this game. So if he's not fit, we might struggle a bit on the counter because we might have to play Ronaldo. But yeah, so I'm hoping Rashford is fit. I feel like he'd be the perfect fit for this game. And yeah, that's all I have to add on that game. I feel like it's going to be a cagey game, though. I feel like United might surprise a few people.
I know you said, Jaydin, you said earlier that you're planning on captaining Salah. Are you not scared of the Haaland? Um,
No, 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 no.
no.
I'm for. I mean, obviously, I feel like thing is with Ireland, I feel like he could. I feel like he's like kind. I feel like he's going to score, but I don't think he'll haul in this game. And that's where the difference comes in with Salah. I feel like Salah definitely has potential, more potential to haul than what Haaland does in this game.
Yeah, if
Fair.
I had Salah, I would definitely have chosen
Mm.
him as a captain above Haaland if I had both of them. So I agree with you there.
Yeah, same thoughts from my side. Definitely choose Salah over Haaland as a captain. And then second last year on the last game on the Sunday is Leeds Villa. I think Wildcard is probably have Leon Bailey in their team. A lot of them will probably put them as their first bench option. But Leeds have been sort of leaky this season, giving up some opportunities for teams to score. So, what do you guys think about this game? Do you expect it to be high scoring? And if you do own Bailey, would you start him?
I don't think Bailey's starting the next game. I think he didn't have a great game against Southampton. So he had a few moments here and there, but it just looked off the pace. So I'd be very surprised to see him starting. So you'll probably be yeah, first on my bench. Nico Williams is my other bench player. So yeah, I'm not expecting too much from that game either. It might be a high scoring game, but I'm not sure who's going to score the goals, and that's always the problem.
I think Villa will struggle this game. I think both the fullbacks are injured, eh? Cash and Dean. Not sure if Cash is
Yeah.
back yet, but yeah, I think they will. I think they're gonna have to play like and Kamara's out as well. So there are a ton of injuries for Villa. And whereas opposite with Leeds, Leeds are getting all their players back. Bamford is back, Rodrigo is back. Sinistela them is on form. So I feel like they will definitely give Villa a game. I think Villa definitely will struggle.
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, I think if you're looking to punt, I think Sinistera is a good option to punt in this for this game and this game week. Villa have been quite leaky in the defense, and maybe even having a look at the 5.5 option like Addison. He's also Addison, not Addison. He's
Oh,
also
okay, yeah.
a good option for this game as well, in my opinion. And then the last game of the game week, which is the Monday kickoff, is Leicester against Forest. Um, as a spoiler, my captaincy is on Madison at the moment, which
Good
we'll
choice.
discuss in the next slide. But I'm expecting Leicester to sort of bounce back from the lows of the last couple of weeks. Forest have been the most leaky defense so far this season. So yeah, I don't think this Leicester has really been struggling from an attacking point of view this season. I think they've more had defensive struggles. I know a lot of people often say with the Leicester game, the game always starts 1-1. Um, so definitely expecting a good performance from Leicester attacking wise. Jonas, what are you thinking about this game?
Yeah, I think if there's one game that Leicester has that they have to use is it's this game. Like everything is set up perfectly for them to bounce back. They got a drubbing. It was international break. They've got a game at home against a promoted team that has 40 or whatever, 50 new players. So they're still getting to know each other, the Forest guys. So I think it's the perfect game. It's a game where they could perhaps click, and I think if they do, I definitely want to have a few players in my team. We pretty much all of us do have Leicester players involved, so I think it's a good game to have a player involved, and for you, probably going to be better if you decide to stick with Madison. Um, yeah, I think a few players might actually play the Leicester keeper as well above Pope in this game week or above Guaita. I think it might be a punt, but I'm considering myself as well. So yeah,
Yeah, I think this could be definitely a high scoring game as well. Both very leaky defenses. So yeah, um, I think that Leicester definitely will do well against in this game. That's why I'm opting for Tillemans. I think that this definitely could be a high scoring game. And yeah, I think Leicester just needs the result this game weekend. I think that this will be the kind of redemption arc where they, come back and kind of show the world that they're not as bad as they've been looking. So yeah, definitely expecting a couple of goals in this game and definitely a Tillemans hat trick to end it all off.
It's a nice joke, Jaydin. Well done. Then we also in yesterday we ran a captaincy poll on Twitter. Thanks to everyone who voted and who shared our poll. As you can see, or for the benefit for those who are listening, the poll for captaincy, we put out Haaland as an option, Madison, Salah, as well as an option to add another player by commenting in the below the tweet. So Haaland won the captaincy vote with 60% of the vote, followed by Salah with 23% and Madison with 16%. So as you can see from the poll, it does seem that like most of the community is leaning towards captaining Haaland against United in Game Week 9. And then for those managers who do still own Salah, I think a lot of them will be on Salah. As I mentioned myself, I went against Haaland in Game Week 8, and it was such a nerve-wracking feeling. Um, I think City played before Spurs did. They played in the early in the afternoon, and when Wolves got that red card, I just there was just going so many thoughts through my head, especially after Haaland scored as well. So certainly you do need some balls to go against Haaland, and I think I'll go against him again this week. Um, just to touch on some medicine information in his last 5 games against promoted teams, he's averaged 11 points per game against promoted teams in his last 5 games. So certainly someone that likes to pick the minnows, as they say, which is why I think I'm set on medicine. I also think it's exciting. A Monday game, last game in the game week.
Mm.
If the big players sort of blank, it's nice knowing that you have your captain still to play. But I don't know what you guys think about captaincy for the game week. I know we've touched a lot about it in the pod, especially we've touched a lot about Salah against Brighton. We've touched on Haaland against United. So is there anything else you guys would like to add on captaincy?
For me, it's 60 currently. Let's say 65-35 in favor of Haaland, opposed to Madison. I think the Madison pick is a fun pick. It's a risky
Yeah.
pick. It's one that could pay off quite well. I think um, if Haaland grabs a goal, grabs his 6 points against United, I think you'd be pretty excited to know that you still have Madison captaincy against Forest in the bag. So yeah, I'm not sure where I'll go there, but at the moment I'm on Haaland, and yeah, it will probably take a lot for me to change my mind, but we'll see. We'll see what happens just before the deadline. But I think there's a lot of merit in going for Madison, um, just as there was going for Kane last week or the previous game week.
Yeah. I think Madison definitely is a fun pick. If you have the balls to do it, then go for it. I think if you firstly need balls to go against Haaland, secondly you need even bigger balls to go for Madison. So I think if you have twice the size, then yeah, I think Madison's a good shot. For me, if you have Salah, go for Salah. Um, if you don't have him, I think if you want to play it safe, definitely Haaland is the way to go for. I feel like this game it could maybe just be the game where you want to play it safe, given that um, Game Week 9 wildcard just might have an advantage, given that they wildcard in this game week and they can get to Salah. So maybe you just want to kind of get that kind of 12 to 16 points. So if I didn't have Salah, I'll definitely go Haaland. But I mean, um, I like the Madison pick. I can't fault it really.
Cool, sweet. I think we'll move on to our teams. As since Jaydin is on wildcard, I think we've covered his team quite in
Yeah.
depth. So we'll touch on Jonas. Jonas, do you want to walk us through your team and any benching dilemmas or decisions that you had to make for Game Week 9?
Yeah, I think I'm quickly just going to run through it. I think we should wrap this up soon, looking at the time we are currently at. So basically, two players coming in, Zark and James coming in, Bailey and Digne going out. One possible thing I'm thinking of is bringing in Everson for Pope. I'll still wait to listen to the press conference. I think there might be a chance that he gets a chance at keeper. And if he doesn't, then it's fine. Then Pope will just come off the bench. As I said, I think there's a better chance that Newcastle, that Leicester keep a clean sheet than Newcastle. I feel Mitro is in the form of his life. I don't want to bet against Mitro scoring. And if he does, which I expect him to do, then I've got pretty much two clean sheets down. So I'd like to even out my risk by. I know it's a very big risk going for a
Yeah.
Leicester defender, a keeper, and even it's the second choice. But would it not be nice if I bring him in and he gets a nice 10 pointer for his debut? So that's something I'm thinking of, but I'll still listen to the press conferences. But even if I put him in and he doesn't play, that's fine. Pope will just come off the bench. Pretty much that. Holland captain. Only other option I'm considering is Madison. So it will be between the two of them. I think Kane has a good chance of returning, but Spurs do tend to score a lot of goals away against Arsenal over the last few years. I think we've only scored two at most in the last 4 or 5 games. So yeah, that's my team.
Are you rolling? Or are you making a transfer?
Yes, I'm not making a transfer this week, so
Okay.
um, I'll use the two free transfers next week to set up my team or to start setting up my team for game week 12 blank. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Cool. Then moving on to my team, very similar team to Jonas. I as well am rolling this game week. As I said, captaincy at the moment is on Madu for the reasons that I mentioned earlier. Yeah, starting Pope in goal, Cancelo, Trippier, Perisic, James, and then Zaha, Foden, Madison, Mitro, Haaland, and Kane. Pretty template. Yeah, just looking forward to seeing out this game week. Don't like the fact that Zaha and James are playing each other, as I mentioned earlier, but I'm sort of happy with the current state of my team. Obviously, we'll be on the lookout for any injury news, any uh, predicted lineups, especially for the Spurs players. I doubt Kane will be benched, but Perisic is obviously a rotation risk, so we're looking out for Paul O'Keefe's tweet on Twitter about Perisic potentially being benched. But other than that, that's my team
If
selection for Game Week 9.
if if you do find out that he's benched or you get some news, will you bring in a bench player or would you actually consider transferring him out?
No, I very much want to roll. If there's an inkling that he'll be benched, I think I'll start Bailey over
Yeah.
Perisic. Yeah,
Okay.
I do the same.
that's what I do.
Okay, fair enough.
Cool.
Sweet. I think we've come to the end of our first pod. I thoroughly enjoyed the discussion. It was nice getting to hear you guys' thoughts about quite a few hot topics that are present in FPL at the current point in time. Like I said earlier, it was quite nice chatting with like-minded managers, getting an opportunity to bounce off ideas off one another. So I don't know, Jonas, do you maybe want to add your thoughts in, and then Jaydin, you can wrap up the pod for us.
Yeah, this is very exciting. I think we covered quite a bit. Um, we probably stretched a bit over our time limit in terms of what we wanted to do, but I think the fact that it's the first episode and we introduced ourselves that also contributed to it. I think it's something that I'm looking forward to. I think it's once we get into it a bit more, we'll get used to it a bit more, and hopefully
Yeah.
attract a few more viewers and listeners. So yeah, looking forward to taking it to the next level and seeing you guys next week.
Yeah, from my side as well, I enjoyed it, guys. It's good to finally speak some, FPL for such a long time with some like-minded managers. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I think uh, it is a bit of a long one, but I mean, I think it can only get better from here. And yeah, I don't know. How do I end this off? Like and subscribe. What do I say?
Yeah, guys, we obviously are starting out, so we really appreciate if you support our YouTube channel as well as our channel on Twitter. So if you did find the pod helpful, if you did enjoy the discussion, please feel free to share on whatever platforms you are able to share, and please tune in as well. This will be a weekly podcast. We might throw in a few additional episodes here and there. And we also are active on TikTok as well. So if you are a keen TikTok fan, Jonas is going to show
We
us
got
some nice things on TikTok.
we got Jonas talking on TikTok.
Yeah, come and check it out.
Yeah, guys. So that brings us to the end of the pod. Thanks so much for tuning in. And I wish you all the best for the game week. Let's all hope that we get some good green arrows.
Yeah, man.
Cheers, guys.
Same. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.